welcome back to another video. If you're new to my channel, go ahead and like, comment, share, and subscribe. And if you need the CXC study guide, it will be down below in the description. There's also the CXC survival guide, and there's also a link down below to different CXC lessons on the website, so you can go ahead and the description down below and everything will be there. So basically, how to easily pass CSEC English Language, that's what we're going to be talking about today in this video. And basically, you know that we have the SBA for English Language, then we have the paper 1, and then we have the paper 2. So there's 3 components to the English Language exam. Now, if your goal is to pass, I'm going to be telling you exactly what they are testing for and what you need to do in order to pass the exam. Now, you know that CSEC English Language is one of the mandatory CSEC subjects along with CSEC Mathematics. So you know that if you don't have English and if you don't have maths, it really not gonna work out for you. Whether or not you're planning on going to college or you just try to get a job, they need English. They want to see that you can read and you can write and you can spell. So they need English language. So let's talk about the SBA first. So basically, it's group work. Some of it is individual work, but you know it's in a group. Everybody have a theme or a topic, and everybody share that theme or topic, and then you have your like subdivision to the area that you find your pieces for, your reflections for, and all of that stuff, plan of investigation, all that stuff. So just ensure that you are following along with your teacher and ensuring that you submit everything on time. Ensure that you know what to do. Don't let it be a case where you don't write up your SB and a plan of investigation, you never pick your 3 pieces, you never write no reflections, and just ensure that you're on top of the SB. And if you don't know what you're doing, ask the teacher. And then there's also an oral component. At least when I was doing it, there was an oral component to the CSEC English Language exam, meaning that you had to do like a little skit or poem. What I did for my CSEC English Language exam was I did a poem, and I think it's basically just to test if you can speak English or whatever the case may be. But there is an oral component to that exam, and I did a poem that I wrote on my own for that component. So ensuring that you submit your SB. Listen, English language is a mandatory subject, but it's not a hard subject. Listen, it's basically from in grade 1 coming straight up is the same English you learn. The only thing is that in high school the vocabulary is bumped up. That's the only thing. It's the same grammar we all learn from grade 1 when they tell us, okay, use a full stop, use a comma, use a colon, use a semicolon, and they teach you the different things. This is the same thing. It's the same thing at the CSEC English Language level. They just want to know that you've mastered it coming up to this point, basically, right? And they want to know if you have like reading comprehension, right? When I was in primary school, they used to have like these little short poem or the short story answer the questions. So basically a long time we do this, whether it's from primary school days. Now during the CSEC English Language exam, what they're testing for is reading, definitely reading. If you're interested, you can really read English. Your comprehension, meaning that when you read the thing, you can actually comprehend, you can break things down, you can reason things out and answer the questions. They're checking for your grammar skills. They're checking if you know what a synonym versus an antonym even means. They're checking if you can recognize when a sentence is not properly punctuated. So you're checking all of that stuff in the CSEC English Language exam. In the paper 1, you will see like little passages, answer the questions. You will see grammar, your grammar being tested. They'll probably give you sentences that were wrongly punctuated and say what should be in the sentence, if the full stop not supposed to did it. And they might give you a blank sentence and say you punctuate it and put what needs to go there. So it's either need an exclamation here, so a full stop here, so a comma here, so a colon here, so they're testing for all of that stuff in the English language exam. They're testing if you know what a synonym versus an antonym is. If they give you a sentence and they say pick the opposite, or they say pick the antonym, ensure that you know what the opposite is. And the trick or the thing that gets students in the exam, especially in the paper one, is they don't know the word. So you read the instruction and it says find the antonym, which is find the opposite of the particular word. You don't know what the word mean. You read the sentence and you don't know what the word mean. So if you don't know what the word means, how you go pick the opposite? And so in the exam I realized that, let's just say they use the word insinuate. Like they might say her friend insinuated that she did something wrong. Insinuate is basically the same thing as imply. Now this particular question was saying find the opposite, find the antonym, right? So basically in the options that you need to pick in the paper one exam, they are going to put imply in the options for the opposite. So the question wants the opposite. Now if you are a student and you don't know what insinuate mean, if you are a student and you don't know what insinuate mean, you are going to pick imply, but imply means the same thing as insinuate, so that's not the opposite and you'll get it wrong. So vocabulary is so important. Like I literally remember in a grade 11 when the teacher did depend the vocabulary. Like every class vocabulary, but try to get you exposed to a certain amount of words, seeing what they mean. Says that you get the spelling and then you need to find out what the word mean, and that really helped because the exam is testing for your vocabulary. And even in the paper too, when you're writing, they're going to test, they're going to read it and say, does this sound like something a high school student wrote, or it sound like something we are writing at primary school? So things like that. Paper one, it does help to watch past paper videos as well, but just also make sure so you know the basics of English language, ensure you know when to use full stop, comma, exclamation, colon, ensure you know when to use all of those stuff, ensure you know antonyms, and ensure you know all of that stuff, grammar, your comprehension skills, vocabulary, ensure all of that stuff is up because they will be testing on it. Or you can definitely practice with past papers for CSEC English Language, the paper one exam. Now for the paper two exam. In the paper two exam, this is where whether or not you know English or not will be highlighted, because it's a blank paper. You're going to write, and you're going to write. In the paper two exam, they test for like summary, report writing, letter writing, narrative writing, persuasive writing, argumentative writing. They're testing for a lot, right? They're testing for a lot in the paper two. For the paper two exam, section A is usually mandatory, section B mandatory, section C choose one of two, and then section D is mandatory. So basically the most important thing is when you're doing the exam, first and foremost, read the instructions on the front of the page. Things can change. Read the instructions and see exactly what you should answer. The biggest mistake that you can make in the exam is in the section that you're supposed to only answer one question, you answer two questions from the same section. That is literally the biggest mistake that you could ever make, by answering two questions from the same section. No. Read the instructions at the front of the page. And just for the paper two, it will really show if your English level, if your English skills are up to par. Because you're writing, they're going to see what you think. And if the examiner start reading your paper, and obviously different writing requires different techniques, such as like summary. They give you a long something and they say write a summary, max 120 words. Then read it, they must say, oh, this is longer than the summary. Clearly you never master this. This clearly longer than the original. They're gonna say one, you never master the skills. Two, no full stop, no comma, you're not ready for English at all. Then the report writing, they're gonna say you don't have the right format, take off marks again. They're gonna say, okay, no full stop again. They must say, and if them read all of your paper, they're gonna say this person seriously is not up to the par. They will look at the words that you use. For vocabulary is very small, very limited, very like grade one. They're gonna say you're really never ready for English. Now, one trap that I would say do not find yourself in is a trap of. The man will say, okay, use big words. You understand? Use bigger words to make the examiner think they're smart. But guess what? If you know so you're only used to a certain set of words, use those. Because people usually go in exam and I use words that they don't know the meaning to. And the context, the word not fit the sentence, but you want to show so you know a big word, but you don't know what the big word mean. So don't fall into that trap. If you only know imply, write imply. If you don't know what is a insinuate, don't write insinuate, and you put insinuate at the wrong place. So use words that you know the meaning to. Don't write when you know. Just because you say, oh, you know that word in a class, that use that word. You never know what the word mean. You put it in the sentence, and the examiner go say, this don't make no sense, because this word here no make no sense right now, and I'm about to take off marks. Use what you know and what you're sure of in the exam for the paper 2 exam. Just ensure that you complete your SBA, complete the paper 1 properly, and it's 60 MCQ. Read, just read, please, just read. Just read. So ensure that you submit a good SBA, get a good SBA grade, do your orals, do well on your paper 1, and then just write your best in the paper 2. Remember technique, remember the skills for each type of writing, remember grammar, regardless of if it's a summary you're writing or if it's a report you're writing. Ensure your grammar up to par. Read it over, please. Sometimes we write the first time, we never realize we left off the comma, or we left off the full stop. Ensure you're using capital letters when you should. All of those stuff are very important in the exam. So just be vigilant in English. They're testing your writing, they're testing your vocabulary, they're testing your grammar, they're testing your reading comprehension, right? So just do your best. Anyways, guys, this is how you can easily pass CSEC English Language. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And if you have any questions, go ahead and comment them down below. All right, bye, guys.